Hi everybody, Mike Beer here with your DRF race of the day for Friday, December 8th, opening day, Oaklawn Park on Friday. Your race of the day comes in race number 9, 2-year-olds in the Advent Stakes. They're going to go 5.5 furlongs for a $150,000 purse. Here is your field of 12 2-year-olds entered for the Advent Stakes, a big field here. The morning line favorite drawn towards the outside here. Number 10, Valentine Candy, Steve Asmussen, 2-1 on your morning line. This is a horse who only won once so far from 4 starts for Asmussen. That was a pretty impressive win, though. First time out at Saratoga. Hasn't won a race since then, but has run a couple of stakes races, most recently third, a decent third, I thought, in the Bowman Mill at Keeneland. He's your morning line favorite. He's got speed. I would expect him to come out of the gate running in this spot. The second favorite on the morning line, number 4, Mlytoown, is 3-1 on the line. Also ran in a couple of stakes races recently. This horse did try a stakes race at Churchill Downs. In his most recent start, he showed speed that day. He wasn't quite good enough. I thought he finished an okay 4th in that race with an 81 Beyer speed figure, though. This horse won the first 4 starts of his career really easily against Indiana breds. They stepped him up last time. He wasn't quite good enough. That field, however, probably better than the one he's going to face on Friday. He's going to drop back a full furlong here to go 5.5. Wesley Ward has a horse down on the rail, coming off of a maiden win. Another horse, the number 6, Sweet Sadi J, was also in that Bowman Mill, along with the morning line favorite Valentine Candy. Finished behind that horse that day, has since run back in another stakes race at Laurel and ran fine that day, showing speed. He earned a 76 Beyer speed figure for that performance. Let's take a look at the Timeform US pace projector for the Advent Stakes. I'll agree with this. They have it a red bar situation here, and I do feel like this pace is supposed to be fast. We'll see how they decide to play it with Valentine Candy this time, because again, this horse is fast, and he showed that in his career debut at Saratoga. And they did use his speed 2 starts back when he was, back in an allowance race at Keeneland. He went forward. He wound up contesting the pace that day, and he was only second best, but he matched that 85 Beyer that he earned on debut. The Bowman Mill last time, I mean, it just seemed like they made a conscious effort to try to rate him that day and see what would happen. And he ran fine to finish third, but I think he's better when they let him come out of the gate running and try to use his speed. I suspect that they would do that in this race. The pace projector also expects the 4 to be up there. Certainly the number 1, the Wesley Ward horse right off the maiden win, Spirits Mischief. That horse is likely to show speed from the rail as well. So we'll see how it all plays out. But I do think this pace could be fast. Let's start out talking about a little bit more in depth about the number 1, Spirits Mischief. Again, Wesley Ward trains this horse. Debuted this colt. He's by Into Mischief. They paid a pretty good amount of money for him as a yearling. He debuted on turf. He showed speed that day as the favorite. All in all, I just kind of felt like he only ran okay in that race. It wasn't a great performance, especially when you consider how much success Ward tends to have with horses like him. He didn't run great. They came back for his next start. It was rained off the turf at Keeneland, so they went this distance, 5.5, on a sloppy, sealed racetrack. We'll put the replay up of this race right now. Nobody in this field of 12 entered main track only. So all these horses were meant for turf, including Spirits Mischief. And once again, he had speed. He sort of raced up there to contest the pace on the outside, dueled it around the turn, and then he put away his pace rivals and just sort of started edging clear here. You can see in the late stages of this race, he's getting away from these horses, and he's clear under the wire. You can also see that there's really, nobody closing that hard behind him. 71 Beyer speed figure. I don't know. I feel like this was kind of a tough race to evaluate for a horse who, for all intents and purposes, had a really good trip. Probably wound up in a really good situation there with speed against a bunch of horses meant for turf, and then nobody running really behind him. He's cut out to be okay, though. He ran fine last time. Ward shows some confidence here and runs him in a stakes race. He's got the rail, so you know he's going to come out of there running, and he'll show speed. And listen, maybe he'll just take another step forward and be really tough. And here, I'll wait and see what kind of price he is. The 5-1 in the morning line, I guess I won't argue with. I'll wait and see, though. I don't know that I would want to go too short on this horse, because I just think this could be a much tougher spot for him. The number 2 is Frost Freeze, a big price on the morning line. Only 1 start for him. Also only on a wet track at Lone Star back over the summer. It wasn't a fast race. maybe you want to give him a little bit of credit there for, you know, closing a little bit from off the pace. It's not like he was way off of it. He kept right up close there on the outside the entire way, though. Stayed on gamely through the stretch, took over late, and sort of got clear as that field came to the wire. I thought it was a fine performance. I don't mind them coming back in this kind of race. The pace could be fast in front of him, and maybe he'll just take a really big step forward here and be dangerous. I doubt I'll bet this horse, but I won't be surprised if he outruns his odds. The number 3 is Market Street. for trainer Dwayne Lucas, 20 to 1 on the morning line. I thought that was maybe the most interesting thing about this horse. Typical of a Lucas 2-year-old. He's already got 7 starts under his belt here. A debut winner on a wet track at Ellis Park way back at the end of June. That was a race, all first-time starters in there, but this horse broke running, got to a clear lead in that race. Just sort of, I thought he was moving right along. The pace, the fractions aren't fast on paper. Maybe it wasn't fast. I thought he was moving right along in that race, though. On his wrong lead through the stretch to keep clear in there. And everybody got tired from chasing this horse, and I thought he actually ran pretty well in that race. Next 4 starts, all in graded stakes races for Lucas. They ran him a couple of sprints up at Saratoga. They tried to stretch him out on turf at Saratoga. They came back to dirt going a mile in the Iroquois in mid-September. His last 2 races back in the allowance race, but both races routing again. And now Lucas is finally going to cut this horse back in distance. I think that's a good thing. We'll see how good he turns out to be, but I just feel like at 20 to 1 on the morning line, I could definitely use this horse, not only because I liked his debut, but just because, you know, this seems like Lucas's MO now. He winters down here at Oaklawn Park, and his horses, it seems like they all run down here. He really has his horses well meant when this meet opens up, and I suspect that Market Street's going to run a better race here, cutting back. It's not easy to cut back from, you know, 3-4 straight longer races to 5.5 furlongs, but I think this horse is going to outrun his odds in this race. Mlytoown is the 4. He's your second favorite on the morning line. Again, the first 4 starts were all really easy wins against Indiana breds. That includes the race 2 starts back, the Indiana Futurity, where they stretched him out around 2 turns. He made the lead early, and he just widened away from that field at 2 to 5. They stepped him up in class last time. Again, you know, at Churchill Downs, he ran fine in that race. It wasn't a great performance, but it wasn't a terrible performance either. He just wasn't good enough to go with those horses, wound up prevailing for 4th. Nothing wrong with that performance. This is a better spot for him. He could certainly rebound here and run a better race. He's got speed too, so we'll see how fast this pace gets. If he has speed to his inside with the Ward horse, speed to his outside with the favorite, maybe it works against him. The 81 buyer here in last time suggests he's a major player in here. I kind of wanted other horses. Number 5, CPG, Ron Moquette, another trainer who tends to point his horses for this Oaklawn Park meet. He debuted 5 furlongs on the dirt at Ellis Park. Did not really run that well in that race. He just looked a little green to me, though. He got out of the gate well enough, and then he just didn't really have any speed, and he dropped way back. He was last around the turn. He maybe picked up a little bit of a late run in there. All in all, I just kind of felt like maybe it was a race he really needed, but they came back for a second start. They switched him over to turf, which I thought was a little surprising, and he beat a couple of these horses at Churchill Downs, including the Ward horse, Spirits Mischief. This horse showed much improved speed on the grass. He went on with it. Spirits Mischief challenged him. He put Spirits Mischief away and just sort of edged clear in the final furlong or so. Good performance there. Pulled off a big upset to win it over 30 to 1, and now Moquette gave him a little time since then and brings him back to dirt. I suspect that the dirt's going to be fine for this horse. I just think more than anything else at his debut, he just really needed that start. So I don't care about the surface, which is 20 to 1 on the morning line, so I'm not going to argue with this horse. Sweet Saudi J is the 6. 9 to 2 on the morning line, a horse who won the first 2 starts of his career. You know, probably more well-spotted than anything else in those 2 races. And since then, it's been all stakes races. They tried synthetic. They tried the Grade 1 Champagne, and he got beat a million lengths, finishing last after showing some speed. They cut him back for his last 2 starts, and he just really wasn't competitive. He ran in that Bowman Mill along with Valentine Candy. Just really wasn't competitive in that race. They tried a little bit of an easier spot at Laurel last time. He did run better. The winner of that race, Copper Tax, was a huge favorite. I think he was winning his 5th or 6th straight race that day. And this horse just wasn't good enough in there. Don't love his form overall, but he's and 9 to 2. I just feel like isn't a great price on him. We'll see where he lands. The 7, Andy's Candy, only 2 starts so far for this horse. He debuted going 6 furlongs at Churchill Downs in mid-September. You know, I thought he actually ran, you know, pretty well in that race. He was never a factor, never really involved there, but just took him a while, it felt like, to find his stride. Didn't get out of the gate well. Took him a while to find his stride. They got him out in the clear through the stretch. He just sort of ran on without really threatening. Maybe got a little tired late in that race. His second start, slight drop in class at Keeneland, but he ran better. Off the pace again that day. 4 wide all through the turn in that race and just kept coming through the stretch. I'm not sure. The only issue I really have with this horse is I'm not sure that he beat a very good field last time when he broke his maiden. The runner up there was a first-time starter. Who knows how good that horse is? And it didn't seem like a particularly strong field behind him. I gave him a little credit just for closing that race down from off the pace, though. 67 buyer speed figure. Maybe he catches a wicked pace in here and can come running. Drew Mania, a long shot as number 8 for trainer Lonnie Briley. We'll see what happens with this horse. 2 dirt starts so far. Both came at Delta Downs. The first of those 7 furlongs, which is around 2 turns. I wasn't really taken with that performance. He got absolutely loose on the lead. And then when they came from at the top of the stretch, he was on empty, and that field had an easy time running by him. They turned him back to 5, though, last time. He didn't go to the lead in that race, and he won easily. His buyer really improved that day. It was also over a wet track, though. I don't know. I didn't really know what to do with this horse. 30 to 1. Again, I'm not going to knock him at some kind of big price in here, but I didn't particularly like him. General Shipman is the 9. He's kind of interesting. I think he's a little bit of a coin flip in this race, and at 20 to 1 on the morning line, I'll just, keep an open mind about him. Not that I love his races. He won his first 2 starts at Prairie Meadows sprinting, and he showed speed in both of those races. His debut was actually pretty good. 5 furlongs from the outside post, and they just stayed wide around the track with him. And he had some help in that race because as he was contesting the pace around the turn, one of the rivals to his inside, it looked like he clipped heels and lost his rider, and it sort of scattered horses behind him. So maybe that helped him, but I still thought he ran okay. And then he came right back in a stakes race in his second start, and he really improved to a 76 buyer speed figure. He got to the lead, and he was in charge of that race the entire way. I didn't love the way he finished in there, but it was 6 furlongs. It was only his second start. He was up into a stakes race. So all in all, it was a good performance. That effort, though, led to him being favored going 7 in the Clever Trevor last time at Remington, and to me, he just didn't really run that well. He did contest the pace again from the outside that day, but he just really was no match in that race. I don't know what to do with this horse. He's 20 to 1 on the morning line, though. They'll take the blinkers off and see if it makes a difference here. I didn't love him, but at a big price, I really don't think I would try to talk anybody off of him either. The next 2 horses, both trained by Steve Asmussen, led by the number 10, Valentine Candy, is your morning line favorite. I think he's the horse to beat in here. I really liked his debut at Saratoga. Showed big speed that day. Broke like a rocket from the gate, right to the front. I thought that pace was fast. He kept going through the stretch and then managed to hold on at the end. That was, to me, was a really good debut. His Hopeful wasn't good. He didn't make the lead. I don't think most people like the Hopeful as a race overall. So maybe that's one strike against him. But he ran better in his next start when they dropped him in class. He ran fine last time when they tried to rate him. I don't think they're going to rate him here. I think they're going to come out of the gate running, and he just might be the fastest horse early in here. I think he's the horse to beat in this race as the favorite. His stablemate, the 11, is Bye Bye Liam. He's 10 to 1 on the line. This horse debuted on the turf. Kind of a deceptively good performance, or maybe it's not a great sign that he debuted on the grass for Asmussen, but I thought maybe deceptively good performance that they didn't break that well. They didn't rush him. They let him sort of sit back off the pace. He got into a little bit of traffic as that field went into the far turn, and then he just sort of ran on evenly through the stretch in there and made up a little bit of ground, was closest at the finish. I thought it was a useful debut. Switched to dirt last time over a sloppy track at Churchill Downs. And I don't know, he's a big price in that race, but he gets the job done. And I get it. If you go back and watch the full replay, he got a really good trip sitting on the inside. But that pace was really, really fast. And I like the fact that he did not get outrun by those horses. It's not like he was a million out of it and came running. He actually kept that field in range. And then when he finally sort of edged off the inside about mid-stretch there, he really finished determinedly to get up in that race. And I thought that was a decent field, too. I thought he ran really well last time to win with a 79 buyer speed figure. We'll see what kind of trip he can pull from post 11 in this race. Willie Dees completes the field, the number 12, 30 to 1 on the morning line. Another horse shipping in here. He's coming from Delaware after running in a stakes race around 2 turns last time, and he got beat a million lengths that day. His debut was also 2 turns on the turf, and he won that day after making a clear early lead. I don't know. I thought he was pretty hard to like in this race. Maybe they're just taking some kind of a shot here. But he goes for a pretty good trainer, and he's going to be a huge price in this race if you like him. Pretty interesting race, though, for your opening day feature at Oaklawn Park, the Advent Stakes for 2-year-olds. It goes as race number 9. Before we get the picks up there, remember to subscribe to the DRF YouTube channel for all the latest videos. We'll put the picks up there right now. I'm going to stick with the 2 Asmussen horses towards the outside. I think the 10 Valentine Candy is the horse to beat. At the morning line odds, however, if they hold, I kind of want to take a little shot here with Bye Bye Liam. Really liked his win last time. I know it was on a wet track and he had a good trip, but I thought he ran really well that day. And he should be a fair price in here. I'm going to go 11 over 10 in the Advent Stakes opening day feature at Oaklawn Park, and it's your Friday race of the day. It goes as race number 9 with an approximate post time of 5:14 Eastern time. Good luck.